Okay, so Brad, what are your thoughts on OpenAI's acquisition of OpenClaw? Do you think this is going to change the trajectory of the project? What are your thoughts?
TBD to see. I think that, one of the things that was a hard line for Peter was, it has to stay open source, which is good, but they can drive the direction of the open source project. I think definitely it's going to have a lot more, it'll work a lot better with probably OpenAI's ecosystem. I mean, one of the things that I really applaud OpenAI for allowing people to do is to use their Codex subscriptions that they already paid for. I mean, I had friends that had never had an Anthropic subscription ever, and they tried it out. They signed up for the $20 or $25 a month plan. They immediately hit their limit, and then they signed up for a $200 a month plan, and then got cut off. And that was their first interaction with Anthropic to say, "Oh, you can't use." I mean, they were like, screw these guys, right? So I think that, I think that Anthropic's really dropping the ball on this. I mean, it's their right as a business to say you can use our product and our API keys the way that we want you to, but at the end of the day, I think that people are really going to be moving over. I mean, even me myself, I've started using Codex as the daily driver for my OpenClaw instance. So I think that it's still TBD on whether or not they, how much of this they continue to push, but early signs are promising in what he's pushing and what they're doing. Like you said, Max, like them donating tokens for open source projects. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Another idea I've seen around is the fact that this is the end of ChatGPT as we know it. Like it's going to happen where the next iteration of OpenAI's product is like an OpenClaw. It's like full-on assistant that's doing everything, like continuously evolving. I do understand Anthropic's position on it. They have been building this. They had already pushing towards Cloud Code, Cloud Cowork, and you can see in the past 2 weeks, every new feature they released is to get parity with OpenClaw. They got their product roadmap completely shifted. You can see it like every release from bodies is like, oh, we now have loops, which OpenClaw has. Oh, we now have crons, which OpenClaw has. So they're playing catch up. I think OpenAI made a great idea. They're purchasing, acquiring them. But yeah, we'll see. I know, Brad, you're going to talk more about it, but some of these features that OpenClaw has added to the mix have been in ChatGPT for more than a year, but people just have not used them.
Well, and some of the concepts that are in here, nothing new. I think what's so amazing and promising about it is the fact that a single developer beat these multi-billion-dollar companies, which only makes sense, right? Because if OpenAI had put something out, as insecure and I mean, they would have just been dragged through the mud, right? It's only going to come from the open source community. It's only going to come from this. And I think that that's the role that open source plays, is to kind of push the boundaries of what's possible with these tools.
And do you have any maybe like positive stories from the world of startups where we had any such similar story where one of the founders or one of maybe like developers built something like this and then a giant acquired it and then the product just followed the entrepreneur's own vision without all the pressure from the giant that acquired it? Do we have such?
That's a good question. I mean, most of the time, I mean, Google is notorious for acquiring startups and kind of rolling it in there and just not supporting them. Facebook was very, except for Instagram and WhatsApp, I mean, through their entire growth through the mid, and this was about acquiring and just, killing those projects. It's hard to say because, once it gets acquired, you're kind of, even the founders are kind of, they're put into a, they're usually brought on, they're given the golden handcuffs. You're talking about builders that generally don't work well in these giant corporate areas, and then it kind of goes off. So does it follow it's what the founder believed in? That's, who knows, right? Because once you kind of get the corporate machine driving the roadmap, it's hard to tell like what was the founder's vision versus what has now been driven by the shareholders.
So TBD. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still TBD, but as long as it's open source, I mean, that's the thing though, is that what really is that if they do start closing it up, guess what? The next Peter will come along, the next open source project will come along, because at the end of the day, a single developer just pushing directly to main, running skip permissions, live dangerously on Claude code can beat any of these trillion-dollar companies to market very easily now. There isn't a moat.
Yeah, software is not a moat anymore. Diligence got super cheap. Now talent and I don't know, just being aware of like where the things are going, vision became the like most expensive or most valuable resource. So I think that's the play here with Peter. Like he's been building a lot of things. It's not his first rodeo. So you can see a guy that has some good ideas and just want it on your team to let him do whatever he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also see a big difference with hiring in the past, right? Where you would get a company or a startup that was doing super good and then you hire it and that's maybe like 20 people you bring on and you have to make the cultural fit and maybe you have your manager, your ways, everything else. Now you could be buying a multi-billion-dollar company of one, right? And as long as you bring that people and allow him to do whatever he does, great. And if you don't like it, like you're saying, Brad, like, oh, I don't like it, somebody else will do it. Like the mode is not there anymore. It's very easy to clone or redo a company.
Yeah.
I have lots of friends that they didn't like OpenClaw because of the security or whatever was like a new product, and they just took the ideas and built it into their own systems for a weekend. Right? Yeah, because everything is out there.
Exactly. I mean, you could literally just point your Codex, your Claude code instance and say, hey, what are those patterns here? Reproduce them into another repo with I just need this and this. And people have done that. There's NanoClaw, I think. There's a bunch of, kind of versions of this that have been developed now that solve different problems. I think there's a race to see who can create the smallest version of this, so it's easier to maintain and audit.